little bit there where I worked, they helped me fill out the paperwork and all that sort of stuff. But when I got in there, I settled in straight away because I knew somebody actually in the class that lived on my road, believe it or not. So yeah, college was at the start, as I said there, I was very nervous. But when I got in there, I settled in very well. I got on with everybody. I had a great class, you know, and that made it that bit easier for me. And then the assignments and all that sort of stuff, they were hard. But when I got an understanding and did a lot of research as well, I'd say research is key to going back to college, you know, and getting your assignments and all that sort of done. So my advice would be to get in there and research your stuff. And, like, you'll do well once you research whatever you're being asked to do.
Anybody else want to have a question? Yeah, Alex, brilliant.
So I think you both was really inspirational and really connected with me. So a question for Shane, what advice would you give to like someone who's trying to take that first step, or like trying to stop worrying about what other people are thinking and all that?
The first step in recovery, or
like the first step in taking like anything to help prevent struggling and just like overcoming it.
The first step for me was just asking a question, as what you said was just don't be stuck in your own head, and no question is a stupid question. You know, the inner critic can be very, very dangerous. You know, and it was for me. But like, my advice would be just whatever you're thinking and whatever you believe in or whatever you want to do or whatever you're struggling with. If you have your problem like with somebody else and somebody that you trust, you know, it could be a family member, it could be anybody, just let them know what's going on up in your mind, you know, because if you suffer, like if you keep it in your own mind, you'll suffer, you know. But if you speak to anybody, I'm sure you probably have a trusted person or anybody that you could speak to in your family or a close friend or whoever it is. Just speak to them on what you're struggling with, and then that'll have the problem, and then hopefully you'd get guidance from them, because that's what I did, you know. I spoke to people that I trusted, you know. It's very hard to trust people, but I'd probably have about 5 people that I trust with my heart, you know, and I could speak to them about anything, you know, so I don't suffer on my own. So my advice to you would be just to speak to somebody wherever, like it could be anything, it could be an assignment, it could be like money, it could be like anything. Like, my advice as well would be, like, so see, I could have like a big huge problem, and then to you it's a small problem, and then I could have like a small problem, and to you it's a big problem. So there's no problem that's too small, because your problem is your problem and it's taking up your peace of mind. So wherever it is, speak to anybody, but make sure you trust them. So like, no problem is too small. Oh.
Yeah, so thank you both for being so vulnerable and willing to share. Your stories really struck a chord with me, and I'm sure with everyone else in this room. And the question that was just born into my heart was, you mentioned that a couple years ago you were in like a really tough position, and I know when we encounter people who struggle with addictions or who are homeless and we don't know them personally, we're so quick to like avoid those type of people because of like the stigma surrounding addiction or being homeless. And you know, some people are hesitant to give, like Laura said, some people are hesitant to give homeless people money because they're like, oh, they're just probably use it to buy drugs or do some other things. And I want to know how you suggest that when we do encounter people like that, how we can help them.
From my own experience, like if they're hungry, you could buy them food or a cup of coffee or whatever it is. But personally myself, I would probably give them money, because I believe and experience that people that want something will either rob it and are bringing other people into danger. Like say a shopkeeper or a woman walking down the road or whatever it is, they could rob them for money or whatever it is. So they're going to do anything to get the money in anyway. So even if somebody doesn't give them money or whatever else it is, they're going to get it in anyway. So I believe that Myself, if I gave them money, I believe that I'm saving anybody getting harmed, and that's my way of looking at it. You could be saving, say, an old woman or anybody walking down the street and or a bag getting robbed or somebody doing a jump over or whatever it is. You know, that's what I believe in. Like, but if they're hungry, yeah, get them food. But 9 times out of 10, they're probably not going to eat the food or drink the coffee. They're just looking to feed the habit, which I had to do. But personally, myself, I would give them money because I believe you're saving other people from getting hurt, because they will do anything to get it if they're in the headspace at that time. So you're saving people from getting hurt.
What about for you, Abdullah?
I think first of all, that's a good question, to be honest. And I think for me, basically, just be a good person, just be kind, because I remember I have my own unconscious biasness before, but when I was homeless, people, as they normally say, who feels it knows it better. When you are not in that situation, you won't understand until you find yourself in that situation. I don't think anyone in his or her 5 senses, right mindset, would love to live on the streets. This cold weather and stuff. People are going through a lot, to be honest, and we all, do go through hard times and shit in life. So just be a very decent person. If you have spare change, it won't kill you. You understand? Giving someone €1 or 2, it won't change anything from you. Just be kind. I think kindness is one of the solution to so many problems if you kind and treat people with decency and respect.
Thank you. Yeah, brilliant. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Illy. Well done.
Thanks.
Need to be down here for either Abdullah or Sheikh. Any other questions or comments? Anybody like to make a comment?
Come on, guys, don't be shy.
Yeah.
Let's chat.
Anybody over here?
Quite Shane, what was the hardest part about being homeless? What do you think?
The hardest part of it. See, when I was drinking and on drugs, I didn't care at the time, because that's where my mind was at. But when I was sobering up, meaning having nothing in my body, I'd feel worthless, I'd feel lonely, I'd miss my family, and then that drove me to get more drinking drugs to block her out, So I think the hardest part was missing my family, knowing that they were at home, and like my wife and 3 kids were at home, but knowing that my wife had to protect my kids from me, if that makes sense, because at the time I wasn't a nice person, but it's not like that today, I just live, I was only saying, live in the day, it's one day at a time, you don't live in the present, you don't live in the future, you live in the present, and that's the key to happiness, I believe. But the hardest part was probably missing my family when I had nothing in my system.
And I suppose even for yourself there, we were talking a little bit when I got you into groups around, your family are still living in Sierra Leone and you haven't seen them in how many years now?
Almost 6 years now.
Almost 6 years.
Yeah.
That's a very tough situation to be in as well, and knowing that you can't freely travel back to your country for safety reasons. What's that like for you now here, nearly finished college, and they won't be here maybe to celebrate that with you? What's that like not having your family around, and so many of us here take that so much for granted, I suppose?
I think it's tough, to be honest with you. I'm very much family oriented, growing up as a child, I know how important, family is. And so for me, I'm very close, like me and my mom were like this. So not seeing my mom for like almost 6 years, it breaks my heart every blessed day. So I think it's tough, because family is everything, and yeah, just a word of encouragement, I think it's a huge blessing if you have your parents with you. Please be nice and be kind to them, because you never know what tomorrow will be.
Exactly.
So enjoy the moment and show love and kindness. But to answer your question, I think that's a tough question for me, to be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, I miss my mom, I miss my family, my siblings, and yeah.
Maybe following on what you're sharing, Abdullah, because Shane, something that you said about your mother, this is maybe even more of a bit of a faith question, because I know you said your mother passed away when you, and but yet you feel the presence of your mother and her support, even though she's not with you.
Covered ashes and heat.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the icon, the Mother of Perpetual Help, and certainly, sometimes we hear about these, but that's a real part of our faith, that even when we don't have someone physically with us, that in another way they can really still be such an important part of our life. So I took that from what you shared, the power of the role your mother still plays for you each day, and I'm sure the power of your mother for you, Abdullah, even though yes, she's still in other ways here, but I don't know if you could say something about that, Shane, about the role your mother still plays for you.
Yeah, when my mom was alive, she just seen myself suffer, as a young boy, sort of grown up, since the age of 12 when I started drinking, and then, and then with my family, my wife and my kids as well, my mom would have seen us struggle, and I believe now with my mom passing away that she doesn't want to see myself or my family suffer anymore. I believe that she's guiding us through that. So she's seen us suffer when she was alive, and now because she's passed, I believe that that connection is there with my mother, that she doesn't want to see myself or my family suffer anymore. So I get up in the morning and I get down on my knees and I pray to my mom, because if I don't have that connection in the morning, I believe that it's not going to work. Like it was said to me, well, I believe it's like, this is the way I would explain it, and it might make sense to people. Do you know the way your phone works with internet? Well, you can't see the connection, but if the internet goes, your phone goes. So but you still can't see the connection. So that's the way I look at it. It's that connection. I can't see it, but I can feel it.
I think, so just to add, my dad passed away 13 years ago, and my dad is like the best human being I've ever known. But when it comes to my mom, I remember when my dad passed away, imagine, I have 3 other siblings, so we 4. My mom, stood up and looked after us. And I remember in 2016, I was seriously sick. Like I was almost dying. And my mom went on her knees begging God to please God, save his life. I will never forget that day. And in less than 4 or 5 hours, the sickness just got away, thank God. And so just a word of of encouragement. I know sometimes our parents, they're very hard on us, make no mistake, some of them they're really difficult, but look, they love us. That's the fact. They do care about us and they want the best for us. And if you have one, please, regardless of the situation, just be kind. And if you can't say I love you to your mom or dad, please just text. Maybe that will be convenient for so many of us. And it's precious, whenever I speak about my parents, because most times we take it for granted, to be honest. But yeah, I think they're people who we should be grateful for having. And yeah, I it's hard for me to like speak about my parents, but yeah, I hope you guys understand. But yeah, just be kind and just appreciate them, because it's not an easy job, you know, being a parent, to be honest.
Very good, thank you. Anybody else like to, plenty of time for one or two more questions if anybody wants to. Do you have one, Laura?
Yeah.
Laura?
Yes. I just want to say, I actually was waiting to talk because I'm totally blown away by both your stories. I even found myself getting emotional because I actually think what you've come through is incredible. I think it's really important for us to hear these stories. I think we so often read them on the news, or we hear them through someone else, and it doesn't bring the same kind of emotion. I think actually hearing Shane and Abdullah speak is incredible, and I think that should really promote why we should volunteer, because I think if we get out there and we talk to people, I think that just proves how we hear their stories, and I just think you should be so proud of yourselves.
Thank you so much.
Thanks very much.
Anybody else?
Yeah, that just to follow on from Laura, and thank you as well. I think sometimes when we read and listen and we hear statistics, you know, and we hear about how many people are homeless, or are availing of addiction services, or who are in direct provision centres, or who are asylum seekers and refugees. We just hear numbers, but we don't see the humanity of it and the real face. And some of us have had that. I suppose it is a privilege in some of the work I've been doing over the last number of years. I've had the opportunity to meet refugees and asylum seekers and support them and to help them. And some of them have found themselves living in hotels and you know, in hostels and separation and all the rest. You know, so I think when we hear the real stories of people that are very human, you know, it's important for us to hear that and to see the human face of it, but also see how the ripple effect. You know, when you talk about your families, you know, and your wife and your children, your family back home, and how it's affecting all people there. So, you know, thanks very much.
Thank you so much.
It really is powerful to hear what you've had to say.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Dolly?
Is there a moment in your life that you look back on and think that is the proudest moment I've ever been of myself? Like you've the proudest like you've ever been to yourself.
Shane, do you want to start?
I don't mind. Yeah, that's a very good question, because, as I said before, coming from a person that had no self-esteem, no self-worth, no nothing, I didn't think I had anything to live for. And to be proud would be for myself. I was only actually speaking about it today, believe it or not. Was actually going back into my second treatment after my ma passed away. Looking back on it now, that's the thing that saved me life. You know, because if I hadn't went back in there and I went back on to drink or drugs, there's no doubt I would have been dead by now. And that's a fact. So that's the proudest moment for myself, was going back into treatment after my ma passed away. Thanks.
Excuse me. I think for me, I have so many proud moments, to be honest. Just to be here, you know, it's a proud moment for me. But I remember I have a very tough upbringing in search of education when my dad passed away. And I used to live with my aunt and so many other people. Long story short, I was being treated, you know, nicely when living there. So I said to myself, I don't want any young child to go through what I went through. So when I finished my secondary education, I went back to the village where I came from. I set up a charity called Kingdom Heritage Foundation. You can check it on Facebook. And so the essence is to advocate for young kids and also support them through education. So that's one of my proud moments. And secondly, when I finished my secondary education, remember, my dad already passed away at that time, and my dad was the only one supporting and pushing me financially through education. So when he passed away, it was like everything just shattered. And I went to aunties, uncle, family members. No one could help me to go through to university. So that was really heartbroken. When I came here to Ireland 2 years ago, there was this young lady, same story, parent passed away. She was in uni, and she was struggling. She was stranded, looking for financial assistance. So she went to the charity back home, and my friend, gave me a shout, asking me, look, we have this situation and blah, blah, blah. And luckily I was blessed enough to support her, just to like that sort of, I was there before, no one showed up, and this young lady, I was able to, I think that was the highlight of my life.
Amazing. Anybody else final comment or question before we wrap it up? Yeah, of course.
Just to highlight the characteristic amongst you both is the resilience and how you prevail. And Shane, even listening to you talk about going back to Maynooth and how for so long you were told that you can't, and to come out with grace like you did, and to think for how long you were told you couldn't, and that you had that potential in you. And look, it's a bittersweet story we can look back on now. It's great that we can look back and say, look how far you've come. But it's horrible to think that you were told you couldn't. Now, focusing on like the more sweeter side of that, is there any plans for the future? Obviously, with the resilience, the story didn't end then, and so it's not going to end now. For both of you, what do you have in mind?
Yeah, thanks very much for that comment. It's very inspiring as well for me, and yourself, I'd say, to hear that. And so it's like a book in there, like there's always in the next chapter, as they say in the book. Yeah, as I said, like my goal, like actually, that I had, I was only saying it to Father there, there was no sort of CA meeting, that's Cocaine Anonymous, around, and there was no meeting in my area in Neilstown, and I got the first one up and running in January, and that was another proud moment as well. See, there's loads of stuff that you think, like you can look back on as well, but for me, it's just helping, and as I said in my speech, it's about giving back. If I think of myself, like I'll get nowhere, if I'm so selfish and all that, like the way I always was, like back when I was in active addiction, I believe if you think of others and you do the next right thing, you will be alright. It's not about Shane anymore, it's about myself and my family. My family, my recovery starts at home, it starts at home and then I bring it out here, it starts with myself first, then my wife and my kids, and then I bring it out to the community, but the main thing for me is giving back to people that need it, and people that need it and want it, because if people ask for help, they deserve to get the help that they need, and if I can help one person, I'll do it, that's why I'm sitting here today, and like it's all about giving back and helping others. So my goal and my plan is to keep helping others. Like money wouldn't be my motive, it doesn't, I got offered plenty of jobs, but I'm happy where I am for less money. It's just like I go into a job that doesn't feel like a job, because I'm helping people all the time. I give people advice or whatever, and it's nice to know that people actually trust me and come to me for advice. So if I can keep doing that, then that's like, I'd be happy with that. It's just helping people when they need it.
Do you want to say your next move as well?
Thank you so much
Yeah, it's a
for
lovely
that
question.
question. I think for me, have, great plans, but I think he was saying about resilience. I think for me, it's just faith, because I think one thing that I did mention, I came from a Muslim background. I converted to Christianity, so I think my faith is a huge part, but to answer your question with regards to, the future, I think, I want to see a world that, people, human rights are respected, and people, all of us, I mean, live in a very dignified, world, and I think I would like to be part of that change, in whatever little way I can. I think that would be, the plan for the future, to be part of, the change and see how best, of course, for us, because I always have this notion that I think for change to happen, I think the primary responsibility is for us young people. We should champion that change, and I really want to be part of that.
Guys, I can't add any more. It's been amazing just to hear some of the feedback.
Can I just say one more thing actually as well, if you don't mind,
Go for it.
before I go? I know, like, I'm sitting up here as well, and I wouldn't feel right by saying as well, the way, like, the families as well, that suffer from alcoholism and all that sort of stuff. I don't think there's enough mention about the families that take us back in. Like, I'm blessed, like, you have no idea how blessed I am, like, how strong, like, my wife is and my kids and all that, it's all, like, the focus would be on, say, oh, Shane's doing great and Shane's doing this and wherever else, but the families don't get me and my wife and my kids, like, they don't really get a look in saying how strong, like, resilient that they are to take me back into their home after I destroyed it all, so the trust and the love and to get all that back from, like, family, like, it's a huge step to take for them, but obviously so far so good. It's working one day at a time, but just to say that out loud as well, like, the families of people that are suffering as well, like I think that needs to be mentioned as well.
Thank you. Ed, I just want to say again, just a massive thank you for Holly's, for even being in this space, holding this as a very special and sacred and a special time together. The word yes, you said yes to being here today. There is the power in yes, all right, and as people have already said, we hear the statistics, we read the things, but we are actually in here together. And each one of these amazing young people in this room have said yes to being part of this, giving up of their time as well. So hopefully we're all inspired here today to go do something as well about that, because we can all listen to that, but the next step, and when we move into our day, is how do we take action? How do we learn and hear and do? And sometimes, you know what, in this world that is just pushing so much, and there's so much materialism and so many big things, we all think we have to do things big and massive, but I always remember that quote from Mother Teresa. She says that we don't all have to do these big, grand, wonderful things. We do small things with great love. You've shared that today. You spoke about the kindness, you spoke about now the impact that the family have on you, Shane, and both your parents and the family unit as well around you. So I just want to give thanks and pray for you as you move forward. And the next step, as you say, it's living in the moment, and it's taken day by day, and someone is holding you, someone's holding you, someone's guiding you, someone's protecting you, and we're very, very grateful to have you here with us. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.